Africa's Jewish history they never taught you. When people think of Jewish history, they often think of the Middle East or Europe. But few people realize this. Jewish communities have lived in Africa for more than 2,000 years. From ancient Egypt to Ethiopia, from Roman North Africa to the Sahara trade routes, Jews have been part of Africa's history, shaped by exile, migration, trade, and survival. So how did Jews arrive in Africa? Were they forced there, or did they come willingly? And what happened to these communities over time? This is the story of Jews in Africa, a people in motion. Jewish history is deeply connected to movement and displacement. Beginning in ancient times, Jewish communities were repeatedly uprooted by major empires. The Assyrian and Babylonian conquests between the 8th and 6th centuries BCE, and later, the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in the year 70 CE. Each of these events scattered Jewish populations far beyond their homeland, creating what we now call the Jewish diaspora. But it's important to understand this clearly. Jews did not migrate to Africa at one single moment. There were multiple waves, over many centuries, driven by forced exile, slavery, trade, and economic opportunity. Africa was not a destination on the margins of Jewish history, it was part of it. Egypt, one of the earliest centers. One of the earliest and most important Jewish communities in Africa was Egypt. Jewish presence there dates back to biblical times, but it expanded significantly during the Persian and Greek periods. By the time of Alexander the Great, Alexandria had become one of the largest Jewish cities in the ancient world. Jews in Egypt worked as merchants in Mediterranean trade, soldiers in imperial armies, craftsmen and administrators. Alexandria was also a major center of Jewish learning, where the Hebrew Bible was translated into Greek, known as the Septuagint. As the Roman Empire expanded, Jews spread across Roman North Africa, including modern-day Tunisia, Libya, Algeria, Morocco. After Jewish revolts against Rome, especially following the destruction of Jerusalem, many Jews were exiled, displaced, or forcibly resettled across the empire. Some arrived in North Africa as refugees. Others arrived as prisoners of war or forced laborers. However, it's important to note that Jews in Africa were enslaved, with some experiencing forced displacement under imperial rule. From the 7th century onward, much of North Africa came under Islamic rule. Jews were classified as people of the book, meaning they were allowed to practice Judaism but lived as protected minorities. This system came with restrictions, special taxes, social limitations, but it also allowed Jewish communities to survive and, in many cases, flourish. Jewish life expanded in Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Libya. Jews became traders linking Africa, Europe, and the Middle East as skilled artisans, scholars, and translators. For long periods, Jewish and Muslim communities lived side by side in relative coexistence, even if not always as equals. Into sub-Saharan Africa. Jewish migration did not stop in North Africa. Jewish merchants traveled deep into sub-Saharan Africa through trans-Saharan trade routes, Red Sea and Indian Ocean networks. They reached regions such as Sudan, Ethiopia, the Sahelian kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. In these regions, migration was often voluntary, driven by trade rather than exile. Ethiopia and the Beta Israel. One of Africa's most unique Jewish communities is the Beta Israel of Ethiopia. Their origins are debated. Some traditions trace them to ancient Israel. Others suggest local conversion or mixed ancestry. What is clear is this: they practiced a distinct form of Judaism for centuries, largely isolated from the rest of the Jewish world. Despite this isolation, they preserved Hebrew traditions, biblical laws, strong community identity. Their survival is one of the most remarkable stories in Jewish history. Slavery and forced movement. Jewish history in Africa also includes episodes of enslavement and captivity on a bigger scale than other populations. These included Roman enslavement after revolts, captivity during medieval conflicts, and the transatlantic slave trade. Individuals caught in regional slave systems. Jews were uniquely targeted. Their cities were constantly besieged on all sides. Their experiences reflected the realities of empire, war, and power in the ancient and medieval world. The 19th and 20th centuries brought major change. European colonialism disrupted traditional African societies, including Jewish communities. This history was deliberately left out of major history books. Do you know this? Should schools teach this? If you are fascinated by this story and you want to help educate others on this topic, kindly subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell, click the like button, and share with your friends.